I thank the gentlewoman for yielding, and I want to compliment Chairwoman Norton for the splendid work she has done chairing the subcommittee, holding hours of hearings on the pre-disaster mitigation program and on various aspects of FEMA's programs that have unfolded in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. She has rendered enormous service to the country, to the people of flood-prone, disaster-prone areas of the country through these hearings. You've done a superb job. And to Mr. Graves, the ranking member of the subcommittee, Mr. Micah, who has fully participated in the shaping of this legislation. It's truly a bipartisan initiative, but one that goes back a very long time. It was in 1988. Then the Committee on Public Works and Transportation authorized FEMA's hazard mitigation program. We thought then this was a very important initiative to provide grants to communities so that they could put in place initiatives, whether structures or non-structural approaches to protecting communities and individuals, businesses, residences against the hazards of flood, tornado, hurricane, and in our northern tier, excessive snowfall. The idea was to build better after a disaster and be better prepared for the next time around. But that idea evolved over time, and it was in the mid-1990s that then James Lee Witt, the administrator of FEMA, conceived the idea of taking hazard mitigation a step further to pre-disaster mitigation. He called it Project Impact. He came up to the committee, now the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, meet with then Chairman Bud Schuster and me as the ranking member to discuss Project Impact, saying that we can save money, as the gentlewoman from Minority Leader for this afternoon has indicated, that we can save money by protecting against what we know will be hazards, disasters happening in the future. And so the committee crafted in 2000 the pre-disaster mitigation program in our FEMA disaster mitigation, hazard mitigation program. Out of that program was allocated to the City of Seattle $50 million to strengthen structures in the city against the possibility of earthquake. The city invested some $50 million in strengthening public structures, public buildings, public roadways, and private structures as well. And then they had an earthquake. After the effects of the earthquake had been analyzed, FEMA estimated that the pre-disaster mitigation investments saved $500 million in what would have been damage to public and private structures alike. Tenfold the value of the investment. The program then was further extended as the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure continued its work. I remember the subsequent Chairman Don Young saying so often, yes, we have to be prepared. FEMA's in the Department of Homeland Security. It has to be part of the protecting against the security threat to the United States. We don't know when it'll come. We know that we have to be prepared. But we do know that every year, said Chairman Young, there's going to be a hurricane, there's going to be a flood, there's going to be whiteouts, there's going to be an earthquake, and we need to continue this program. So with bipartisan support, we've extended the program. In the aftermath, well, one of the best examples was the town of Valmeyer, Illinois, devastated in the 1993 Mississippi River flood. with $45 million in federal, state, and local funding in pre-disaster mitigation, the town was simply relocated to bluffs 400 feet above the site of the former town. This year, as the Mississippi overflowed its banks in many places along its course from southern Minnesota through Iowa, the Chicago Tribune ran a story entitled "Valmeyer, Illinois, soaked in '93, town now high and dry," quoting a resident, Elnora Anderson, 86 years old, home destroyed in the '93 flood, said, quote, "I'm sure glad I don't have to worry now that we're high enough here on the hill," close quote. That's a reasonable investment of public funds. Story County, Iowa. In 90, 93, and 96, homes were flooded out. And finally in 96, with pre-disaster mitigation funds, those 6 homes were bought out, moved out, and in 98, when the flood struck, FEMA estimated that the federal and state and local governments saved $541,900 in what would have been damages to restore those homes. In my own district, in 1999, on the eve of July 4th, it was July 3rd, straight line winds called a derecho of 100 miles an hour in a swath 15 miles wide swept through the Superior National Forest, the Boundary Waters Canoe area on the U.S.-Canadian border, and blew down 26 million trees. 3 years worth of timber harvest for the whole state of Minnesota, creating an enormous hazard for fire to local residents. In the area outside of the wilderness, trees had to be salvaged, had to be subjected to salvage logging to clear out away from homes, from resorts, and from outfitter buildings. Following up, FEMA came to the area and said, with pre-disaster mitigation funds, we propose 75-25 participation to install sprinkler systems around all the homes and all the businesses in the Gunflint Trail area to protect against the potential, the very real potential of future fire. Almost every resident and business participated in the program, and about 96% of the people maintained their sprinkler systems. Then last year, in April of 2007, a fire broke out. Careless campers left the site of their camping. A wind came up, blew it into what eventually became 75,000-acre fire. The homes that had the sprinkler systems, the buildings that were protected with the sprinkler systems, were unscathed. Those that weren't, 147 of them, burned. Pre-disaster mitigation saves lives, saves property, saves costs. It's a sound investment in the future. We have authorized in this legislation the program for an additional 3 years at $250 million each through fiscal 09 through 011. The chair of the subcommittee, gentlewoman from District of Columbia, Ms. Norton, has outlined all the specifics of the bill. I need not go into them. I simply speak to reinforce with specific examples the benefits of the pre-disaster mitigation program. It's a sound investment in the future of this country for all of us as we are subjected to increasing amounts of disaster from natural causes. I yield back to the gentleman to balance my time.